Zidon Danny, Electric here, and welcome back to Electric News Lab. Yes, I am finally back after 2 months of being gone. Oh boy, lots of stuff happened, I don't want to get into it, but I am back, and I am so happy to talk to you guys about Witch Hat Atelier finally getting an anime adaptation. I've been saying since the beginning that this series needs an anime adaptation, because it needs to reach the audiences that aren't necessarily going to be looking for a manga to read. This series is so good and so heartwarming that I can't imagine it. I wasn't going to imagine that it would ever not get an anime adaptation. Like, sure, Shirahama's previous work in Allie and Duelia, that never got an anime adaptation, but honestly, let's be honest, it didn't need one, and it was never going to get one. That series is so off the wall that I don't think that it could actually work as an anime. But Witch Hat Atelier, on the other hand, oh boy, it's going to be a wild ride as we enter into this chaos. Now, this video is not for the fans. While I do think that there are certain things that fans should be aware of, I don't necessarily think that it's going to be some... It's important to understand that this video is specifically for anime-onlys who are wondering, should I get into Witch Hat Atelier when it becomes an anime adaptation? I'm expecting that this video will probably not get a whole bunch of views now, but will probably get a lot more views when the anime actually starts coming out, and fans are wondering, hey, what is this Witch Hat Atelier thing about? Should I be interested in it? And the answer is, yes, you should absolutely be interested in it. Whether you are an artist or a witch, a witch/wizard magic fan, this is a series for you. If you have liked Harry Potter, if you have liked The Owl House, if you have liked a lot of other series, more than likely you're going to like this series. Also, if you, I think that one of the largest majority of people that have liked this series are the LGBT community. But I don't necessarily think that you have to be LGBT to actually enjoy this series. If you are a straight person, you will probably still enjoy this series, at least to a degree. Sure, there is definitely no... there is no shyness about being gay in this series, but at the same time, the main characters are kind of like in this gray area. So I'll get into that a little bit later. But the point is that I think that you'll enjoy this series no matter what kind of fan you are. I personally absolutely loved reading this series, and I'm so excited to read more of it as it continues. But at the same time, I understand that there will be some people who aren't necessarily going to enjoy it. And most of them are, let's be honest, bigots. But the point still remains that this series is going to really draw in a large crowd of people when it actually finally releases. And I think that whoever is making this should be aware of that. Maybe they'll okay it for a full 26 episode season, and maybe we'll okay it for a second season way quicker than we actually think. Personally, I don't think that they're going to go for a second season right away, but I do think that they will be getting a second season at some point. Not necessarily right away, but definitely at some point we are going to be seeing a second season somewhere around the corner. Obviously, that also depends, though, on fan reception of the series. But I personally think that a lot of fans are going to be jumping onto this, and I also expect that a lot of people didn't even know that this was a thing. I've been telling a lot of people, a lot of other YouTubers, hey, you need to check this out. Hey, you need to check this out. I specifically, I think, said, hey, Mother's Basement and hey, Joey the Anime Man, that you should check this series out. It's really good. And neither of them have ever said anything. But obviously, now, I don't think that people are going to be able to avoid this series, because it is such a heartwarming series that I really think people are going to absolutely fall in love with every little aspect of this series. One of the reasons why I mentioned the Owl House, though, is because of the fact that the magic system in both series are kind of similar. Both kind of have that drawing aspect and combining different pieces of different spells to make new spells. And while that is really complicated, and getting into that will probably take a lot of time, I do think that it is important to understand that magic is complicated. And these ideas were more than likely in both of these creators' minds long before they actually came about. And while I do draw the connection, I think that it's important to understand that they are not ripoffs of each other. More than likely, the two creators just happened to come up with the same idea at the same time. And that's one of the things that I really want people to be made aware of. If you are going to be going from the Owl House to Witch Hat Atelier, please do not start calling it a ripoff or anything like that. Because first off, Witch Hat Atelier is older. Like, the manga itself is much older than that of the Owl House. If anything, Owl House would be a ripoff of it, but honestly, I don't think that it is, because because animation takes a lot longer than making a manga. So more than likely, the two creators were kind of thinking about the same thing at the same time, and just happened to release these series pretty close to each other. So, yeah. First and foremost, the two series are not ripoffs of one another, so please do not be someone who says that, because firstly, Witch Hat has been around longer, but also they were just two ideas that happened to come around the same time. Okay, with that out of the way, let's actually talk about this series and why people will probably enjoy it. Firstly, this is a series about found family. First and foremost, Coco, the main character, loses her family from, well, her foolishness, and because of that has to go into the witching world. And honestly, it's kind of similar to Harry Potter, except for the fact that, like, technically anyone can be a witch if they want to. So that's a thing. But the point is that she is going to transition into becoming a witch more and more as you read through the series. But while magic is the foundation that this is built on, the true story is that of found family. Like I said, Coco has 3 amazing adopted sisters to a certain degree, as well as 2 fathers in this amazing series. Now, I do want to make something else clear. They are not necessarily together. Urugio and Kifrey are not together romantically. While there is definitely hints at them being eventually getting together, right now the whole point of the series is that they are old friends who chose to work together. To a certain degree, it's very similar to that of Aizawa and his 2 friends, in the fact that if Shirakumo had lived, he and the 3 of them, including Present Mike, would have kind of become a family working together as a team to save the world. That was the whole point of what that was going to be. This is similar in that concept. The 2 Urugio and Kifrey have known each other for years, and while they definitely do care about each other, they're not necessarily gonna end up being in a relationship. While they could end up being in a relationship, I think that one of the things that the creator is trying to at least get across, to a certain degree, is that you don't necessarily have to be gay if you aren't necessarily gay if you are showing affection towards another person. You don't love is not always romantic. That is the point that I'm trying to get across. Love is something like if there is brotherly love, there is romantic love, and there is love for your children, and many other types of love. And that is the point that they are trying to get across. That love isn't necessarily romantic. Love is caring for those around you. They are a found family, and they are trying to work through that. They're trying to be the best that they can, even in really hard times. All four of the girls have a lot of trauma in their past, and these two men deeply care for both the children and for each other. And while yes, there is definitely that idea of love, I think that the idea that Shirahama is trying to get across is that you don't necessarily have to be romantically interested in each other in order to care for one another. And that is what they're trying to get across. I have a group of friends that have deeply cared for one another since high school, and while we aren't necessarily as close nowadays, back then we were practically a found family. And most of them were guys. And those that were girls are now either guys are transitioning to guys, are guys, or are non-binary. That's not a joke, that is actually a thing. But it's not necessarily that just because you deeply care for someone doesn't necessarily mean that you are interested in them romantically. You care about them. And that is the point that this series is trying to get across. And through working together, these characters find each other and find themselves to a degree. They understand more about themselves and about each other, and work through their differences throughout the entirety of this series. And while I do see in the future there could definitely be some romantic interest within the group, it's not necessarily the point. The point of the series is that they learn to care for one another, and they work through their differences, work through all of the chaos, and become a more closer family. A family that cares for one another. And while they will work together to save Coco's family and to re-establish the families of the other girls, they're trying to make sure that, first and foremost, those that they care about are safe together. That is the point of the series, and that is the point that I truly believe Shirahama is trying to get across. Now, as for you artists, yes, you are going to love this series, because I guarantee that it already exists to an insane degree. Fan art for this series is so massive that I don't even think that Shirahama has ever... Shirahama retweets a lot of the fan art and likes a lot of the fan art, but I'm pretty sure that there's, way more than she can even control. She can't see all of it. There's a lot of fan art out there. Seriously, if you ever look up Witch Hat Atelier fan art, and you will be just blown away by all of the fan art that exists, because it is a lot. And I honestly expect there to be a lot more comic dubs that are going to be starting to happen, a lot more just everything. This series is going to be exploding once the anime has actually released. And I also expect there to be a lot more people who are going to be making their own spells, trying to figure out, okay, how would this work? And basically theorizing about, okay, this could work this way, this could work here, and basically trying to figure out exactly how to make new spells that have never been thought up in the series. And honestly, I love that. But also, I also want to make something else clear, that there is a lot more in this series than you think. It also tackles the idea of magic being put onto people. One of the big bad of the series are these people who want to free up magic, break the rules, and do new things, such as putting magic onto people. And a lot of what they want to do is healing and adding new abilities to people by putting markings onto these people. One of the characters is in the series basically becomes a werewolf. That is not a joke. There is a character who becomes a werewolf because the bad guys put a tattoo on his neck so that he turns into a werewolf. And I just love it. I wish that I could go more in depth, but it is insane what happens. And this is just a side character. There is so much more to this series, and they want to do more. There is so much in this, and it's weird because the point that they're trying to make is that you can't use... one of the things that they say in the series is you can't use magic to heal because then you would be putting magic on people's skin. But these villains are kind of in that weird gray area because they want to use their... well, some of them, yes, they are very, very evil and want to do a lot of really bad stuff. The idea behind them isn't necessarily evil. These villains want to make it so that you can do things with your magic that isn't necessarily evil. I don't think that they necessarily think that all rules are bad. Some of them, at least. But what they want to make clear is that certain rules need to be changed to make people's lives easier and better. So much of this series is just that, and it's amazing, and I want to go more in depth with it, but I don't want to spoil too much about it. But that is the point of this series. One of the reasons why I love villains that aren't necessarily truly evil. While some of these characters absolutely are. Let me be clear. These characters are the bad guys. They are 100%. Many of them are evil, but not all of them are. One of the characters, the bad guys target Coco because they think that she, as a newcomer, could be the piece that changes people's view, the magic world's view. By her learning magic, and by more people learning magic, magic can be more free, more people can learn, and that is truly an incredible idea, but it's executed really poorly. I think that if a character like Coco does continue to grow and learns more about magic, I think that she can learn to actually share the magic with the world in a way that people will actually be able to understand and care about. People won't necessarily be, won't be evil because of all this stuff, but instead they can learn and carefully grow into a new way that can truly change people's lives. I love that one of her spells that she makes is actually, pretty much all of her spells are used to learn new things. By her and her team working together, they make so many spells that are able to help people while still staying within the rules. And I absolutely love that. One of the spells that she creates is literally an ice pack that is constantly able to keep you cool. You don't have to do anything with it. You don't have to refill the ice pack over and over again to keep somebody cool while they're hurting or have a fever. You can just use this one item and it's incredible. I honestly wish that I could just go over all the little details throughout the series, which I have, but that is the type of magic that this series shows. And I really hope that as we get new fans, more and more fans will start to theorize about new spells that can be made with this magic and how it could be used to help people. And while it's not necessarily going to... While obviously magic isn't real, I think that the idea behind the magic could eventually be transitioned into actual technology that could actually save people. That is what I'm hoping, that these ideas start sprouting off new ideas in other people to make magic, but in the form of technology that can help people and grow. And I also hope that it can kind of help... I think that one of the other things that they're trying to make clear, that Shirahama is trying to get people to understand, is that tattoos aren't evil. How you use them can be evil, and that is one of the things that she's kind of trying to break down as well. One of the major rules is that you can't you can't use magic on somebody's actual skin. You can't put a spell on somebody's actual body, because that would be considered evil by the main heroes of the series, the government basically. But one of the things that she's trying to make clear is that that's not necessarily the case. Well, yes, it can be used for evil, it's not necessarily true. In Japan, tattoos are very problematic. Even a simple tattoo can be seen as, you're part of the Yakuza! But one of the things that I think that she's trying to make clear with this series is that just because you have a tattoo doesn't necessarily mean that you're evil. What you what you are doing with that tattoo, what you are using it for, that is what causes the problems. If you are a Yakuza member and you use your tattoos to intimidate people, to scare them, having your tattoos out in public and using them to scare people, that is what causes the problems. It's not necessarily that you have a tattoo. If you have like a simple tattoo, it's okay. That is the point that she is trying to make across. Even if you're covered in tattoos, it's not necessarily a bad thing if you're not trying to use it to scare people. That is what she's trying to get across. You're not bad for having a tattoo. You're bad if you use it for power. And throughout the series, they've been shown to do this and expand on this. And I really hope that they will continue to delve into this. That will eventually help Japan grow past its stigma against tattoos, which they are doing anyways, but to grow past that and to become better. And I hope that this series helps the world to get better. Because it is honestly a great series that I think a lot of people are absolutely going to love. But for now, that's all I have to say for today's video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it, and hopefully you will, when Witch Hat Atelier finally releases, I'm guessing either spring or winter next season, or next year. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it as much as I'm going to be enjoying it. Seriously, I'm going to, as soon as it comes out, I'm just going to make like a video for every episode, probably. I'm probably not going to actually do that, but it could happen. Definitely look forward to that. But anyways, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, leave your thoughts and theories down in the comments below. And of course, if you do have a theory, make sure to say theory review somewhere in your comments so we can talk about it in a future video. And of course, if you haven't yet, please subscribe and ring that notification bell because it really does help us out a lot. And if you want to support the channel even more, then definitely head down to the description and check out all of our links down there, including our social medias and ways you can support us financially. But anyways, guys, I have been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on!